Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Morning Hustle. Is a guy that you don't really see too much in person, and it feels weird because he's here. It's usually virtual or on the phone, but ladies and gentlemen, Bryson Tiller is outside. He in the building, man. What up, bro?
What's poppin'?
Man, you're popping. Shout out to the new single, Outside, which you describe as anti-feel music.
Yeah, I guess you could, yeah. Yep.
And the crazy thing is, like, when I hear it, it makes you feel like you need to be doing something productive and getting some fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like it's counterproductive to the whole anti-feel thing because you do feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. What I more so meant, like, people talk about they want to put, want some music that puts them in the feels, like some of my older music, or like something that makes them think about their ex or whatever. But it's just kind of like the opposite of that. You know what I mean? The polar opposite. It's just like, we're not talking about that tonight. We're just having a good time. You know what I mean?
And it is good to have a good time. You sound like, in a certain great headspace while doing it. You know, like, when did the inspiration hit you?
It hit earlier this year. My manager Neil brought me the song, and I was kind of bored in the studio, and he brought me this one, and I was just like, man, that got me excited. Got me excited to get back in the studio and make more music. So I got in there, recorded it immediately.
Got you. Now, to people who don't know better, they know about your pen game. They know, like, about the string of work you put out there in the streets.
Yep.
But are you what they would consider a studio rat? Like, are you in the studio like 6 nights a week, or do you kind of balance the fun stuff with the business stuff just so you don't go crazy?
Yeah, whenever I'm making, like, when I'm like it's crunch time and I'm working on the album, I say I'm pretty locked in for sure, like 6 nights a week type. But other than that, like, I don't really, I'm not a studio rat. I'm just playing video games or taking care of my daughters or, spending time with family.
Yeah, that was one of the big things that we connected on previously. Like, and I think at the time, I can't remember what you was playing. I feel like it was something with some shooting.
Yeah.
Was it Call of Duty? Were you like?
Who knows? It's probably Apex Legends.
I think that might have been what you said it was.
Yeah.
Are you still on that now?
Yeah, absolutely.
They keep coming up with these updates. People just can't put it down. It's like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
As soon as you think you're done, it's like a new update.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on it all the time. I haven't been on it as much lately because I've been working on the album, but I played it a couple nights ago. I had a great time.
Got you. And it's so dope to, like, once again, hear your name on such a more frequent basis, right?
Yeah.
You're cooking up right now with Diddy. You got the Gotta Move On record.
Yes, sir.
Which I haven't seen a record get worked so well in
crazy.
like a long time.
It's crazy.
Like, they're really, like,
they're
here's the
doing
original, here's the remix.
And that's why I gotta, salute to Diddy, because for me, in that song, it would have never got that much attention. With me, actually, I wasn't even gonna use it. I was just gonna let it do its thing on YouTube and, whatever. But shout out to Diddy, man. He's really pushing it.
So did that record initially start out as a Bryson Tiller record and then you brought it over to Diddy?
Yeah, it did, actually. It got leaked back in 2018. I sent it to my little bro, and, he started sending it out to people or whatever, and then next thing you know, it gets leaked. Years go by, Diddy's hit me, come to Malibu, I want you to work on the album, blah, blah, blah. I get to the studio in Malibu, and I see he had my song title on the dry erase board. So I was like, is that my song? Because we had just did some other song for this album, but I guess he didn't want to use that one no more because he had heard this one. And then he played it and came in and told me the story about how he's been in love with this song. And I had somebody showed it to him, and next thing you know, I was like, yo, do whatever you please with it. I'm not going to do nothing with it. So, yeah.
So you was just treating it like a throwaway?
It got leaked, so it was just like, everybody got demo-itis, and at that point, I'm just like off it. Like, if you leak my music, I'm never going to even bother messing with it ever again.
Really?
Yeah.
So, like, is there anything that you have, like, within your catalog, right, that you felt like it was old to you, but the world ain't really got fully acclimated to it and it ended up being a big song for you?
Nah. I mean, this one's probably the first one, I'd say. I definitely have a couple that's like, like me and my team, we went through my hard drive the other day, and we just went through every song that I've ever made on my laptop, and we found a couple gems. So they old to me, but they was like, yo, you tripping. So, yeah, we brought them songs back to life. I can't wait to share them.
It seems like you do have, like, a high personal standard that you set for yourself. Because, like, I mean, I understand, especially, like, when you do the numbers that you do, there's a lot of pressure that come with that. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you have preferred everything kind of go in reverse? Like, let's just say if maybe like Trap Soul would have sold 1 million or 2 million and then everything else grow from there versus like Trap Soul sells 7 million. The other ones did millions too, but you're always held to the accountability of what your first big thing was, even though everything else was successful.
That's a great question. I definitely thought about this recently. I was like, man, how different would things be if Trap Soul didn't do what it did at all. You know what I mean? And then I would always be able to kind of just be free and just make music. But honestly, like the pressure's always on, and you know, these days I don't really think about it too much. I just keep it pushing, you know, keep making music. I do hold myself to like a high, like, yo, I want to make this type, that, whatever. But honestly, I just enjoy making music. So
Got you. Now, if you had to just guesstimate, like how many songs are sitting on the Bryson Tiller hard drive that the people haven't heard?
Completed songs or just like ideas?
Let's go with completed.
Completed? Man, I don't know, maybe 20. As far as completed goes, because
you say like 20,000?
No, just 20 songs. 20 songs. I don't really complete a song, and like, you know, they all start as ideas, and like I don't really. Sometimes they stay ideas, and I don't really go back in because I like to put a lot of time, like 20, 30 hours, sometimes 40 hours into a song. You know what I mean? Just a lot of takes.
Shout out to you. Because, like, you have some artists that'll come in here and be like, yeah, we did 17 songs in 2 days. And then in the back of my mind, subconscious me is like, sounds like it. But you can tell when you really take that TLC and put it into the work.
It's important. I like when people do that. You know what I mean? I'm not lazy at all when it comes to my music. Don't get me wrong. I had some situation, like Gotta Move On, for example. That song I made when I was drunk, and it was my first time drinking in a studio session. So I did my verse and the hook, like, just in, like, a couple takes. You know what I mean? Just, like, trying to lay it as an idea. And that's why I was so upset when it got leaked, because it's like, damn, now I can't never go back in and clean it up and record and give it, like, some real vocals and real care. You know what I mean? Hey, I mean, it's working out, so.
Just so we could properly label the alcohol that sponsored that kind of energy, what were you drinking that night?
This is a great question.
Are these Hennessy thoughts?
It was Hennessy. I'm gonna go ahead and say Hennessy. Yeah, shout out to Hennessy. I haven't drank Hennessy since then though, but yeah.
So are you saving it for the next time you got to do a Hail Mary in the studio, or
who knows? Who knows? I might have to bring it back one time. Hennessy. Me and Hennessy had a lot of great nights.
Yep, the results were good that night, man, and. Your music is so personal. It seems like, you know, people gravitate towards you because they hear and see themselves in the things that you say. What would you say, Bryson, is the relationship that you was in that most affected who you are now, as not only just like as a person, but also as a writer who can connect to these emotions?
That's a good question. That is a great question. I think, you know, to be honest with you, it was like a lot of just different relationships with people, not even just like, you know, significant other, but like it might have been my relationship with like a girl's mother, you know what I mean, that I was dealing with, or a girl's brother, you know what I'm saying, or just whatever, just different things, or some of my friends and family. So it was a lot. There's no one specific relationship that I can credit everything to, you know.
Got you. So there wasn't like a tipping point moment. It was like, word, you made fun of my ears. I'm gonna be the greatest R&B writer that you've ever seen.
I did have one song like that on my first album called Sorry Not Sorry. There was a girl that I used to date, and like I don't know, she broke up with me, and probably rightfully so, because I was kind of I don't know what how to categorize me at that time, but yeah, and I ended up making Sorry Not Sorry, just like, man, I know you see me doing my thing now, but like I'm cool.
Have you ever seen that girl since that record came out?
I saw her one time at the mall. It was interesting how that happened. We was walking, she was parked right next to me. It was crazy. The mall was closed. I was walking into the mall. She was walking out, but they were closing up, so I couldn't go in. And we ended up walking. I was like, oh, I ain't seen you in a while. And then I was just like, yeah, it's crazy. And that was the girl who broke up with me. Anyways, and then we get to the car, and then she was like, I know this ain't your Porsche right here. And I was just like, nah, I can't afford a Porsche. You crazy? And then, you know, bloop, bloop. get in the Porsche.
The subtle flex. All right, just to continue painting the picture, Bryson, when she came out of the mall, was she empty-handed?
Nah, she wasn't actually. So shout out to her. She had
some.
Yeah, she wasn't.
What kind of car was she getting into?
I don't remember. Right. A non-memorable car, I guess.
A non-memorable car. That's crazy. But, you know, it's weird how, like, you know, not to say karma, but, you know, you're doing really well for yourself.
Yeah.
You use that to fuel your creativity.
Yeah.
And you're helping people, like, you know, navigate through some of the trickiest points of their life. Like, I mean, when you think about when you was growing up, what were some of those songs that kind of got you out of a bad headspace, or maybe helped you get over a relationship that, you know, was kind of on a shaky ground?
Man, Magic Jordan. I listened to a lot of Magic Jordan. I had this playlist I made of them, just like a compilation of all their music. But yeah, I really shed some tears to some of that music. But yeah, I mean, honestly, sometimes I like to listen to happier music to like not, some people like when they're sad, they want to listen to sad music. Like I always have these people like, give me a heartbreak album, something blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, yo, if you heartbroken, why would you want to listen to? I mean, I guess that's how some people get over stuff. But for me, I like to listen to the opposite of that, like just things that could like pull me out of that. But yeah, Magic Jordan's probably. Yeah.
Got you. Do you feel like, some level of like artistic schizophrenia because you sometimes don't know what people want from you? Because I'm sure like, when Wild Thoughts took off, they probably was expecting more songs that sounded like that. Or maybe people who was tapped into some of your earlier work, they're like, give me that again. Because sometimes it's hard to evolve when people know you for one thing, but you're capable of so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely can feel that energy sometimes. And I'm just like, damn. But honestly, this is why I just keep creating and I just make whatever feels right to me because, everybody, I got people that, just going back to my first album, some didn't do it for them. You know what I mean? Maybe it was Exchange or it was Sorry Not Sorry. And then somebody else would be like, oh, Don't's my favorite song. And they might not care too much for the other song. So it's just like everybody's different and they're all going through different things. So it just depends on what resonates with you. And I learned to just like keep shooting. You know what I mean?
Well, you're kind of like the Michael Myers of the music game. You come out, you kill, then you go back in your hole, you be quiet for a minute, and then you back out. So what brought you back outside overall? And, how did you know that the water was right, to jump back in it?
It's time. It's just time, man. Like I got back into music about 2020 after a little hiatus I took. My grandma passed, and I was just like, man, I got to get back into the studio ASAP. Thank you, brother. I got into the studio, and it was kind of like, my anniversary album. It was kind of like my fresh out the hospital bed album because I'm just like learning how to walk again, learning how to be in the studio again. And then at that point, we still on lockdown. So I'm just like, man, this is a time. Normally after I drop an album, I got to like go right on tour. But this time we couldn't tour. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to make all the music I've been wanting to make. You know what I mean? So I dropped a mixtape and then I dropped a Christmas album. And all of this stuff gearing me up for this album right here, which I'm really excited about. This is kind of just, it's like, I wouldn't say the peak, but it's more so like, this is what I've been working towards. So
indeed. Now, like far as like the process is, because everybody has like their favorite aspect of it. Some people's like, yo, I like writing. Some people, I like to go to the studio. Some people like to perform. Which one is it that where where it really truly fills your heart with joy when you're doing it?
It's the studio for me for sure. Like gotcha. I like being in the studio the most. I always found performances to be like very challenging. That's like the most challenging part of the job, just because I'm just so like I'm in the studio and like the stage is so much different sonically and the way it sounds and it's just different. But so being in the studio, I really enjoy making songs and creating songs. You know what I mean? Because the possibilities in the studio are endless, and yeah, that's my favorite part.
Got you. So anytime we see you on stage performing, it is truly a labor of love, and you're doing it for the fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you're right. There is a lot of pressure that comes with it because, especially like, I got to take my hat off to you guys, like especially singers who have to use their instrument of their voice night after night. And maybe it's crispy Monday, Tuesday. Maybe the pollen count is high when you got to Detroit and now your voice is a little raspy. Yeah, you don't sound like the record. It's so unforgiving sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And some people, for me, I always kind of just tell people like, yo, if you come to my show, like, we just there to party and enjoy the music together. You know what I mean? Don't expect me to, be Beyonce up here and blow you out of the water just with vocals and whatnot. But yeah, we just celebrating the music and having fun. But yeah, I really do it because, like you said, labor of love and, just for the fans.
Do you know where you were when everything finally clicked the way it was supposed to? Like, all right, cool. Maybe you had some songs floating out there on SoundCloud or whatnot, but you went to this one city, people knew the lyrics already, and now you felt like, all right, Bryson Tiller is definitely in the building now. Where was that?
It was Orange County, California, at what was it, Santa Ana, California. I don't know. Santa Ana, and I did my first show. I came out, I opened up for Travis Scott, and I went out there, and I was nervous. They had to push me on stage, and I got out on stage, and I forget which song came on, but I just saw people like reacting to my lyrics, and I was like, oh, okay. So like, this is how you do it. This is how I just gotta, y'all know my songs. This is crazy. So that was probably the moment for me for sure.
Got you. And it seems like you do a great job of protecting yourself from the world, because you do got to protect your energy. Like to kind of like quiet the noise outside and just make sure you're in a good headspace so you can continue to create. What kind of things do you do to kind of balance yourself out?
Man, I'm a big gamer. I have a gamer. We talked about this earlier. That's like one of my main things. My time with my kids, you know, family. That's like the main thing for me. I just try to stay off social media as much as I possibly can. That's pretty much it. I don't really do too much.
2 kids now?
2 kids.
Boy and girl?
Girl and girl.
Girl and girl?
Yeah.
Are you done?
No, I'm not done.
Like, is it like can't stop, won't stop till I get a boy?
I mean, I'm not like too pressed. I used to only want a boy, and then because I was nervous, I was like, dang, am I gonna be able to be a good dad to a baby girl? And then I realized how much fun girls are. So I'm just like, man, I love being a girl dad. And now I'm kind of just like, if I get a son, great. If not, I don't really care.
But like, out of everybody in your house, like, who is your test group that you play stuff for that you're excited about?
In my house, honestly, I don't think it's anybody in the house. I call people. I FaceTime my bros, you know what I mean? Or hit my little brother, Eric. Like I told you earlier, I sent the song to my little brother. Those are the people I call. My boy Swan, you know what I mean? And we just, yeah, that's pretty much it.
So do the kids get it? Do they have any idea, like, what dad really does and what he means to people out there?
My oldest does, but my youngest is 2. She don't know much about me or what I do or anything. But my oldest, she definitely does. She's 9 years old. And, yeah, she be telling people. She talks about me all the time. She's probably one of my biggest fans for sure.
You should let her run your TikTok.
Huh?
You should let her run your TikTok.
I probably should, man.
These 9-year-olds have it figured out. It's weird. Like,
man, you're right. I probably need to get on that wave because I'm slacking.
10-year-olds popping on TikTok. I can't get nothing going.
That's crazy.
It's rough out here. You know, it is good to see you back outside, literally with a song called Outside. Now,
Yes,
I checked out the visualizers. The video shot yet?
The video shot, yeah. We should be coming with that soon. Excited about it for sure.
Do we know a date?
Next week? Oh,
whoa.
shit.
Streets is ready.
Yeah, okay. Next week then. Yeah.
Cool. Now, how far are we away from like a full entree of music? Because I know, like, you know, the game has changed and evolved a lot. It became a singles-driven market. But
Right.
there are some people who are excited about hearing full bodies of work from. So when can we get that next offering from you?
Hopefully before the year's over, man. All just depending on samples right now. You know what I mean? I just feel like a lot of the time. Well, it's just hard. Some people be like, oh, you know, it's just the business aspect of everything, you know. So as soon as that's over with, I'm coming with it.
Is there a record, like, not necessarily for this project, but maybe like a previous one where, like, yo, this record was fire, but we couldn't get the sample to go?
There was a song that I had for Trap Soul called Just Another Interlude. That was one. And then another one called Self-Righteous. Couldn't get those samples clear. It was just too much of a headache, so they didn't end up going. But we ended up later, 5 years later, putting it on the deluxe for Trap Soul. So it worked out. It worked out years later.
You put it on there in the way you intended to?
No,
just
because
a different sample.
I just put it on the end of the same exact. I mean, there was a mistake that happened with Self-Righteous because somebody used like a replayed version. It wasn't supposed to be that because we got the song clear. But anyways, yeah, it worked
I
out.
don't make no mistakes. And, like, you know, even with the Outside joint, classic Yin Yang Twin sample,
Yes,
like
sir.
the weight joint,
Yep.
and the way you flipped it was just so original and unique. Was that a hard one to clear?
Nah, not really. I was surprised for sure because I was like, damn, I hope we can clear this because I'd heard that, you know, it was a little bit challenging to clear that one or expensive, but you know they looked out. So shout out to the
Do we
Yin
get
Yang
them
Twins.
on the remix? Is that a thing?
We definitely talked about that at one point for sure.
That would be wild.
But you might see him in the video, so you know, check it out.
Sounds like we go see him in the video. Not mad at it. Now, is this whole project surrounded around samples? Like, is that like the wave for the new joint?
Not necessarily. There are some samples on the album. You know, sometimes you just can't avoid it. You know, you hear something that's just like, we love it, you know?
It's the best music, man.
You know?
And even if you got to customize a little bit of publishing, man, anything to make the record great.
Exactly.
And memorable.
Yep.
Because I swear, I tweeted today, man, I was listening to some drill record, man. It just sound like people rapping over pots being juggled sometimes, man.
They
Like,
do. Crazy.
they need samples sometimes.
They do.
That's where the soul is from. So do we have a name for the new project yet?
We do. I can't announce it just yet, though. But I'm excited to tell the world what the name of it is.
Got you. Like, could you make a pact with us? Like, when it is time to announce it? Like, I know you're going to do what you're going to do on social media if you decide to go back there. But could you just come in here and just say it into the camera? And that's just all we need.
Can we do that? Can we come back?
Yeah.
I'm
You
down
have
to
an
come.
open door policy. You can keep the same outfit on everything.
Say less. I'll be back.
Okay, see, Bryson Tiller that made a promise to the world, y'all. More than hustle, man. Let's get into
Better
your
help me
record
keep
right
this
here.
promise, all right?
No, she's an OG. She understands that, like, you know, if she sign off on it, it's happening. So hell yeah.
Say less.
So let's get into your record. Nobody can set it up better than you.
Man, my name's Bryson Tiller, and this is my new single from my new album, Outside. Check it out.
See him outside and inside playing Apex Legends, man. Bryson Tiller in the building. Let's go.
We are the morning hustle.